Before we go here, I want to take you back to when I was first accepted as a fellow. India had just started liberalization, Infosys had not gone public, and when I thought about entrepreneur, the word entrepreneur, everybody talked about this guy, Bill Gates. Some people talked about this guy, Steve Jobs. For some people, it was Dhirubhai Ambani. And for some people, it was Hewlett and Packard. So all of these people had tremendous, mammoth intellects. They had driving ambition. They had, as a result of these things, acquired vast fortunes. So for me, the entrepreneur at that time was very much a heroic entrepreneur. I never thought it was for me. I was like, I can never measure up to these people, so why should I even try? Which is bizarre, because when we start something, we don't automatically compare ourselves to the top people in that field. But that was what the situation was. And then I met Bill. So Bill, as in Bill Melton, who, as I mentioned, founded a company, took it public, was investing in several companies. And unlike what I'd made up in my imagination, he was very approachable. And Bill was starting a company, online payment company, and we were kind of second-year engineering students who, many of us, despite being in computer science, had not actually interacted with the computer outside lab. And so we sat across him at the Taj, and he was telling us about this online payment system. And, we were asking him questions. I was asking him questions. He was replying with words like DS encryption and online wallets, all of which I understood only vaguely through a glass, darkly. But then I realized, even though I don't understand this is a world that I want to be part of. I decided I want to be an entrepreneur, but I didn't know how. So let me ask you, what would help me become an entrepreneur? Can we have the poll, please? I hope you all are voting. Have the answers, please? Finding my passion. All right, so it's not that simple. We'll come back to it later, but it's really good to know that all of you had a pretty clear idea what to do. So I did all of these things. I said, maybe I can't be an entrepreneur right away, so let me get experience. I worked for startups. And then a lot of the companies that I admired, like Amazon, went public. The markets went wild. I said, I can't understand what's happening. These companies have multi-million dollar valuations, and I just don't know why that's the case. So I went to business school. I went to Stanford, which, if anybody can help crack why startups are successful, is probably the folks at Stanford. And then I worked with eBay. And then finding my passion was the hardest thing. You see, when you look back at certain entrepreneurs, it's not like they have a passion for that particular thing. What they have a passion for is creating change. This is my opinion, my experience of it. So what I would say is, what prompted me to go down the entrepreneurial path is feeling the pull. I don't know, have you ever felt the pull? Like Dr. Gowda's talked about the pull to stand for election. David talked about the pull to move back to Israel. Have you ever felt the pull? Yeah? Okay, terrific. So after some time in Silicon Valley, I felt it's right for me to start something, and I already had an idea. Living in the Valley, I realized that it was very hard for me to get good quality movies. I could only get these trashy commercial nonsense, which I definitely could not watch with my son. So having got this idea, like what would you have advised me to do next? Should I, should I do an extensive market survey? Should I make a big business plan with lots of Excel? Should I raise money or should I experiment? Option A, who thought I should do a market survey? Raise your hand. Market surveys, okay, perfect. About 5%, I would say. Then who is next? Next one was business plan. Who thinks I should do a business plan? Raise your hand. Another 1%. Who thinks I should raise money? One person. There are few people raise their hands. Don't feel ashamed. It's a sensible option. And who thinks I should experiment? Okay, very good. Awesome. I should have just come to you first. Well, here this is. I mean, it's kind of make your own rules. It's not like all of these things, raising money, having a business plan. What was the other thing? Market survey. It's not like they are going to hurt you. You should do them. But when push comes to shove, you're not going to be able to rely on them for answers. And as Steve Blank says, no business plan survives the first contact with the customer. So you have to be ready to do something when that happens. And in fact, it did happen to me. So what works for me? I really like prototypes. Prototypes are the simplest version of a design, the first cut of a solution that you've put together. And as soon as possible, you should start making it real and taking it out. A lot of people, successful companies, successful products have been prototyped. Even Steve Jobs, even though he doesn't believe in focus groups, he does believe in prototypes. Here are some prototypes which I was really struck by as I was preparing for this talk. Here's a credit card prototype from the 1960s. It's made of cardboard. That's magnetic tape on top. In fact, the magnetic tape had been stuck with sellotape because the engineer didn't know. He was trying different types of sellotape and he was like, nothing is working on this card. And he happened to go home and his wife was ironing the clothes and he said, look what's happening. And she said, well, why don't I try to iron it on? And she was able to iron it on and it worked. And that's what I wanted to tell you. When you start making it real, people can actually help you. If he had gone home to his wife and said, I think I'm going to have this online electronic transaction system with a magnetic stripe, and his wife would have been like, that's kind of nice, honey. But now when he, when he showed her this, she was actually able to help him. Another really nice prototype, world's thinnest watch, just a piece of paper. You might ask, why are these prototypes crude? It's actually important that they be crude. The reason is, the more effort you put into a prototype, the more fixed your thinking becomes. So the idea is make many prototypes, throw them out, don't get married to any idea. Let people interacting with the product make the decision and not you. Other thing that works for me is definitely not this clicker. Next slide, please. It's co-creating. So what I call is co-creating, what I say is co-creating is helping people become part of your solution, creating almost an army of people who want you to succeed, because when you succeed, they succeed. When they succeed, you succeed. For example, community. These are the people who will tell you the inside track, what's happening. And when you learn something, you will tell them, so you all grow together like we're all growing together here. Customers or partners are also great, especially people that you're able to have a great conversation with and build them something which nobody else is building. Other than these, I think you're obviously welcome to speak to, academicians and captains of industry and your mom, if you like, but they're not going to give you as much, they're not going to take you forward as much as these two types of people. So coming full circle, when I was thinking, what should I tell you about a great experience that I had as an entrepreneur? It took me back to when I was a student right here. And like I was telling you, the world was a very different place at that time. When I told people I was doing information technology, they're like, are you planning to be a librarian? It was really like that, And jobs were hard to get. and only a small part, maybe like a handful of people from our previous class got placed. And I felt that pull. I felt like I could do something about it. And so I got together with two people who are not necessarily my friends. One of them I'm married to, he's here now. But and another classmate, and we went together and we started pitching. We spoke to our classmates. They contributed 60 rupees each. We raised the fund and went out, used that for our marketing expenses. We spoke to HRs. They were delighted because they were actually having a hard time recruiting. So they came to our campus, and they also went to other campuses for the first time in their history. So it was a beautiful, unsullied, very pure experience. And then when I look back and I think on my journey, I tried the MBA, I tried to get the startup experience, I tried all kinds of things. But in the seed of becoming an entrepreneur that was there, it was there right from the beginning. I didn't have to do anything to be an entrepreneur. I already was. So I hope that some of this is that picture. And you know, the Beatles have that song Yesterday, like the yesterday. Now I'm not half the man I used to be. Like in our case, we don't have that problem. We're like twice the people we used to be. That's me on the left and my husband in the middle. So thinking back, you know, this is what I have to say. Do not follow. This is a quote from a Japanese haiku poet. So do not follow in the footsteps of their wise. Don't think Bill Gates did this, I must do what Bill Gates did or whatever. Instead, seek what they sought. And I'm not going to explain this any further. I'll just leave it and hope you'll have some time to reflect on it. If you like it, please engage with us on Twitter or hopefully at the end of the breakout session.